Hi all and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm on the Westminster Bridge and I am showing you the Houses of Parliament and some very iconic places around London today. I'm going to start here because this is my first stop and usually I catch the bus into London and I go past here every day. Whenever I pass, I am always taken back by the beautiful display, and if the sunrise is hitting right, it just looks absolutely magnificent. So behind me we have the Houses of Parliament, and the Houses of Parliament was finished completion of building in 1870, and it has gone under many restorations, including one that is currently getting restored at the moment is Big Ben, which is the tower right next to Houses of Parliament. It has been under restoration since 2018 and it was scheduled to be released in 2021, but because of the pandemic it has slowed things and hindered a little bit, so it will now be released in 2022. Now there is a lot that is going to be restored in Big Ben. Big Ben is actually the bells behind the timepiece of the tower, and it has been very tedious and temperamental for many decades, and there's a timekeeper who keeps track of the time and manages it and makes sure it's all running perfectly and smoothly. And one of the little tricks that he does is he uses a penny to either slow down or speed up the time of the clock, but it's getting harder and harder to keep it accurate. Apparently 5 years ago it was about 6 seconds behind, so that was definitely not acceptable. They're not going to do anything like a digital clock. They're going to keep it very true to the British history, and most of the restorations are going to be aesthetically, but they're also going to build a lift that's going to be in the middle, because there's a stairwell currently that goes all the way up, and the lift is going to make it a lot easier for the timekeeper to travel up and down. And also with the colours of Big Ben, they have been changed over the years with aging, so they're all being scrubbed down and they're going to be repainted a beautiful vibrant blue colour, which was the original colour. And then what they're also going to do is re-gild all of the top as well. So that is a big restoration, so it's very understandable that it's going to take many years to complete. They might even extend it a little bit further. If you hang on, we can take a closer look. Here behind me we have the very famous Westminster Abbey, and this building is very famous because of the marriage that was taking place with Kate Middleton and Prince William in 2011. And when you think about London, I think about three main things that are very iconic to London. One of them would have to be the double-decker buses that you see everywhere. Now these were replacing the hop-on, hop-off buses, which used to be a little bit more fun. They had like open doors, but now we have the double-decker buses, which still hold that red vibrant colour. And there's also the black cabs, which are all over London as well. And it is like one of the only few places in the world that you can find cabs that still look as old-fashioned as these. And then we have the iconic telephone boxes, which are placed all throughout London. None of them are no longer working, but they are so iconic to take photos on, and you can find them in as far as you can go around the London areas, you'll find one. And it's really sweet that they've kept so much history. Coming from Australia, a lot of our telephone boxes were uprooted. They were not as old as the ones in London, but it was like an iconic piece that we remember. Well, it seems that this one is actually working. So there are a few that are still running. And although it's not a very pleasant smell in here, it is working if you needed to ring someone and you were in a dire straits situation. Seems a bit stiff. To the longest reigning monarch in British history. This is the home, Buckingham Palace, of Queen Elizabeth II. Now, you know, when you look in the building, when the flag is raised, that means that the Queen is in residence, and you can see by the flag today that she is now in residence. I did some more research on the flag flying. Apparently there is always a flag on display, but the flag to look out for is the Royal Ensign, which is a gold and red colour. It's very quiet since the pandemic has happened. We still don't have those large influxes of tourism here, and there's beautiful gardens to have a look at. They're very well maintained. It doesn't matter what time of the year you come, they're always well kept and maintained. Also, a big feature of the Buckingham Palace would have to be the gates. They are a black, bold colour. They're very tall and they're finished with this beautiful gold gilding. And then we also have the Victorian Memorial, which is over here in the middle. And the Victorian Memorial has this beautiful gold structure on the top of it. I don't know, I don't think it's real gold. I think if it was real gold, that would cause a lot of havoc, of a lot of people trying to chip a piece off. So it's definitely no Royal Albert, but it is beautiful. Here I am stood outside the Ritz Hotel. This is one of the most famous hotels in the world. It is very common for its afternoon tea dining here, and I was graced with the experience of being able to have afternoon tea here in 2019. My partner's mum gifted me very generously the gift of afternoon tea here, and I enjoyed my experience. It's very meticulous. All the bone china and the cutlery is served so precisely. And they have to undergo very extensive training in order to make the exception to work at the Ritz. It is definitely something that you should visit if you are coming to London, if you're a tourist. Lots of people talk about all over the world, and if you're into afternoon tea, then you're really going to like it. And here I am in front of the Tower of London. Isn't it just magnificent? So this is home of the crown jewels, and it's a real treat if you get to go inside. So here I am finally at my last stop of the day. I am just standing in front of the Tower Bridge. And the Tower Bridge was built in 1894. It took a whole 8 years to complete. And the original design and architecture was influenced by medieval Gothic kind of styling. So it's got these beautiful points at the top of each tower. And there's lots of detailing when you get in really close. You can see it all. And it's quite magnificent. When you walk over it, it is definitely an experience. I spent a lot of time crossing through Greenwich over by walk. It took about 40 minutes to walk, or I think it was actually an hour to get to the bridge, and then 40 minutes to get to the other side of Shoreditch was where I was going. And yeah, it was definitely a marvel during last lockdown. And a little bit about the bridge. So it did take 8 years to construct, and it was a suspension design. So what that means is it has the ability to lift its roads and allow for water traffic, marine traffic to pass through. So this has been a lifesaver for London, as when it was created, London was getting more and more busy, and we just couldn't afford to have everyone waiting so long to get to the other side. So when it was made, it was a bit of a relief, and the original designs of the pistons were all hydraulics, so it was used by gas, but today now they use electricity, and I think it's fuel to power it, and it only takes a minute for the gates to lift. If you do get to see them lift, it is quite magnificent. I don't know if there are going to be any passes today, but it is quite an experience to see that as well. Now, I love the design of this bridge. It is probably my favourite in London. I mean, it is quite magnificent. You can see a little bit more detail from over here. You can see the colours are very vibrant, and they went under a restoration in 1970 to 1980s. So it was something that they long wanted to do. And originally the colour of the whole tower was actually brown. So it has had a few restorations and has changed in the process, but the symmetry of the design is really cool as well. And you can actually walk along the top of the bridge. There's this glass panel, and you can see like really good views of London. You can see the Shard, St Paul's Cathedral. It's quite magnificent, and it's definitely a treat if you can walk over it as well. So anyway, thank you for coming along with my day out in London. I've really enjoyed it, and I do hope that I get to share a lot more with you. I think the next time that I share a video, I'll be delving into the more modern architectures of London. So you may have heard of our famous Shard, we've got the Gherkin, there's quite a few different ones, and they're quite magnificent as well. So yeah, thank you, and we'll see you next time.